Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Chris Corso, he is now a regular contributor on The Price of Business. He's with the Corso Law Firm, and delighted to have you on the program. Delighted that you're going to be bringing some interesting insight. You and I have been talking a lot since the first time you were on the show, which is, I guess, about 2 months ago, I guess?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a relatively new office, a new practice here in the Houston area, and I'm very excited about it, and we're delighted to be able to partner together to provide some great content and to really just inform people about what their rights are. And you have a specific area of defense that you work in. You work a lot in the a very specific area of law, rather, that you work in. You're a defense attorney, and in the times we live in, I talk about this a lot to the audience. I'm a old school, traditional, three-legged, conservative, strong national defense, strong free markets, private property, and social values, those type of things. And in that, you tend to be kind of a law and order guy. But over time, what's happened is that, when I see 20% of 5% of the world population is in the United States, but 20% of the world prisoners are in the United States, and I see how big brotherish our culture has become. And in Russia, there used to be a joke of 4 felonies a day, so that if they ever need to arrest you, you've already done something. You can't get by. We've got our own 4 felony a day culture. Americans are every single day breaking the law without even realizing it. And so civil liberties has become really an important issue to me, which is why I'm delighted to have you come on and provide content for us.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. I appreciate it. It is important, regardless of what your political affiliation is, across the board, it's something that it's important. It's definitely important. It's what's some things that are being taken away, and we just don't realize it. We kind of walk the walk and we'll go down the road without even realizing that. And you look at what's going on in the world now. If you see the debate the other night,
the Fox Business debate,
and they touched on that a little bit. It was more economic, but they talked about the liberties, talked about what's being taken away with the states. We got to get things back into the states' hands and so on. And it's just amazing, and I'm excited to talk about some of the stories we're going to bring on.
Yes.
And what's nice for everybody listening is, while it's a huge issue, it's an important issue, but going to have a little fun with it too, because there's some stories out there that when you finish listening to this, you're going to say, did that happen? Is that happening
in this country?
Yeah, in this guy or on this planet? How can that happen to somebody? So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And afterwards, when we finish talking, people can email in. We want to know. I mean, I'm interested to hear the people and see what they think about it.
Yeah, you can email kprice@priceofbusiness.com, and anything we get that you want to engage with us, we'll be glad to forward that over to Chris and begin a conversation on that, because I think you're absolutely right. People want to know, and most people have this general perception that, I'm glad there's law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. If we have no law enforcement, we have absolute pandemonium and chaos. We look like, a crazy third world country overnight. On the other hand, I want law enforcement to work for us, not us working for law enforcement. I don't want to live in a culture of fear. I don't want to live in a culture of fear towards my government. And it feels like that we've had a little bit of that imbalance for quite some time. And I'd like to see a little bit of more straightening out that balance and kind of restoring liberty like it has been known historically.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget what this started with. I mean, the country's based on that. It's based on going somewhere and being able to do something and feeling good about it and build something of your own. They talked about it in that, again, the other night, not to keep bringing up the debate, but small businesses, things coming back. People are afraid. Yeah, we walk sometimes like zombies and just kind of go through our days and not realize what's being taken away until you get somewhere where you see, oh boy, just if you want a good example, go to the airport, go fly, and you walk in that place and you're instantly in fear. What's happening? You have security everywhere, things, and it's necessary. I mean, we've had things happen that it's absolutely necessary, but you don't want to be doing things in fear all the time. That's not what we're supposed to be about. Mm-hmm. And as you say, it's important to keep order. Yes, it's important to keep order, but when that starts to tip the other way, we start to become something that was never intended.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that, there's appropriate and inappropriate civil disobedience. When you're in the process of being arrested, don't be civil disobedient. Get your attorney to work with you and create consequences for that law enforcement for arresting you inappropriately or whatever. But because really law enforcement has little recourse with resistance, but to retaliate against resistance, So a lot of stuff that I see is just stupid. The kind of individual anecdotal type stuff that is looking poorly on the police, but in my mind should look equally poor or even more so on the person who gives the law enforcement no recourse but retaliation. Again, it's that fine line between a truly civil society and chaos.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing too, because, the clients we deal with and a lot of people, the untold story, the things that don't get into the reports, when you talk about that and you talk about, well, it's on both parties to balance that out. But some of the stories, some of the things you don't hear as the treatment by law enforcement to the client. My clients talk about that all the time. Some of the things that are said to them that don't make it into the report, and the fear that's put into them at the time. And people react different to fear. When they're in that kind of a situation, whether they've done something or didn't do something, they have rights that have to be maintained. And as far as the demeanor and how the officers and law enforcement present themselves, as well as the person, can be better. It should be better. Yeah. And these are the things you can't really fight. These are the intangibles that don't make it into the reports and are on film or you can hear it in an audio or something like that. So some of those things, and you're forced to tell clients, look, that's not really something that's part of your case, but we'll do our best, because judges and prosecutors and people like that just don't consider it. They don't think about that. But yeah, things would be more balanced and a little less forceful, I think, on both sides if we just, if everybody just calmed down a little bit, when this is happening. So
with about a minute left, kind of give us an overview of some of the topics that we'll be talking about here in the weeks to come. And I do want to mention that it's Corso, Corso, lawgroup.com. Give us a couple of thoughts.
Well, coming up soon, and we have a lot of holidays coming. Mm-hmm. And this is these are the drinking holidays, we like to call them. The Thanksgiving's coming up. And, Black Wednesday. We're going to talk about that, what that actually means. But Thanksgiving's one of the biggest, most drinking holiday that you have out there. And different parts of the country are different. Where we are is it's a little more prevalent on the West than the East Coast, a little less ingrained. But we're going to be talking about that. The other holidays that are coming up. And this is the time of year. People are flooding in. They're getting with family. They're having a good time. And so we're going to be talking about things like that. And then the stories that come up in the news, just outrageous things that people are doing to each other out there and what's happening, what's being taken away and so on. But there are going to be some ideas we want to give people to help. We want to educate some people out there to be safe during this time of year. I mean, this is the time. So, I'm excited. I'm interested in what everyone thinks. I'm interested in what you think. And, I'm appreciative, too, that we have this forum that you're allowing us.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it, too. Chris Corso lawgroup.com. And that, by the way, offices in Arizona and now in Houston as of a few months ago. And
yes,
we're delighted to have you here.
And we're happy to be here. Thank you.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here, including this interview, will be found over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook. Follow it on Twitter.